Yo, 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 welcome back to the Boosie Sports Pod. Just two bros smarter than the average Joe. And a little different, setting this week. Couldn't be in the main office this week, so had to, improvise a little bit. But we got a long list of stuff to talk about today, so I think we'll be good.
We finally went outside.
We finally left our office and went outside, so I had a nice flight home from the spring house of Vermont, so been on the road the last couple weeks, so.
I was in Vegas yesterday, so I didn't make it home.
Yeah, good to be back. But I guess big thing this week, draft combine. Had a lot of show ups, had a lot of people not show up. But we can start new 40-yard dash record time at the combine.
Pretty fast, man. Xavier Worthy, Texas wide receiver, runs a 4.21. Better than John Ross. What was that in 2017?
17.
Yeah, like a piss missile.
Yeah, he was flying.
Never seen someone run that fast in my life, probably.
I mean, other than professional track athletes.
Unfortunately, he is 5'11", 165.
Yeah.
So that's not good, but I mean, if you're that speedy, you'll probably get if wide receiver doesn't work out for your height and your weight, you could probably be a return specialist.
Yeah, he could probably fit into the slot. I know people like Edelman have and stuff, but
yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about it in a second, but he showed out for the best wide receivers not being there, and he had his problems in college with drops. But I mean, he has something that all GMs want to see. So definitely in today's age with Tyreek Hill and stuff, he definitely has a shot to bump his draft stock up a little bit with that.
I'm sure once he gets to the NFL, the diet and some of the nutrition people will definitely get him in good football shape, or I guess in NFL shape. So
yeah, yep.
Shouldn't be too worried.
Another thing is before we dive deep into some individual performances, a lot of GMs came out throughout this week, throughout O-line drills and stuff, and talked about how this is one of the best O-line groups they've ever seen at a combine. And another thing that stuck out to them was teams like the Giants and the Jets and teams that might not have an early pick are still going to be able to get franchise style O linemen mid first round that are going to be huge for them in the future.
Yeah, they definitely need it. The Jets, whoever was playing quarterback had 3 seconds to throw, or not even that, 1-2 seconds. Mm-hmm. So they definitely need some good linemen here. I didn't realize it was that deep.
Yeah, I guess it's deep this year.
Definitely need it though, because I think we saw a lot. I think this year we saw a lot of defense winning.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, we didn't really see a lot of high scoring games.
Yeah.
Other than the freakish Dolphins game,
yeah,
and we had the Raiders game. But other than those two, I think a lot more defense was played. So
a lot less 40 to high 20 games this year than we've had in the past.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exclude the big games that we saw. I mean, I think your average game was you had some really good defenses, the Chiefs and the 49ers. That was those really good defenses. The Browns, Ravens. I feel like there was a lot more emphasis on good defense this year. So it'd be nice to see if the offense can flip the script next year.
Yeah. Moving on to the key pieces. Obviously, Caleb Williams didn't really do anything at the draft. Did more than some of the people that I'll talk about in a second, but I didn't really enjoy his interviews that he had. He talked about how he was gonna obviously I think throw at his pro day at least. Talked about how he doesn't need to go out here and do this. He has enough film on him that if you want to see how he is, you can just go watch him. I didn't like the stuff talking about how he wasn't going to take medical examination, that he was only going to do it with the teams that could pick him. Kind of had a little bit of an ego behind him. But I mean, he has cemented himself as the number one overall pick, so I guess he can do that. But I mean, if I'm a GM, that dude's leading my team for the next foreseeable future.
Yeah. That's what happens when you hype up an athlete like that, or just anybody in general. It just gets to their head and think that anything they do, their shit doesn't stink. I'm sure that some of the stuff, like him not throwing at the pro day, like whatever. But like some of the answers to some of the questions is like you're trying to come across like I've been here before, I know everything.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, at least you can be genuine enough and be like, like obviously you have no idea what you're about to get into, and whether or not you get into the Bears situation or you get thrown into like if someone trades up like the Commanders, like you're about to get swallowed.
Yeah.
So I think the mindset should be more of just learning about the NFL instead of being like I know what's up, I'm better than everybody else, because that attitude will get you end up like Johnny Manziel. So.
Yeah. And to touch on that, I mean, quarterbacks like Drake May and Jane Daniels didn't throw either, but I think we were just spoiled last year with Richardson, Shroud, and Young all throwing at the combine because like they had something to compete for with that first overall pick. So I guess we were kind of spoiled with that, but them not being there kind of opened the door for more quarterbacks like Bo Nix and Michael Penix, who just showed up this weekend. Definitely boosted their draft stock. Obviously not first round, but second, third, fourth round. Definitely boosted themselves up there and like really gave them hope for landing somewhere they can stay.
It's unfortunate that Michael Penix
I
has as
know.
many injuries as he does, because I definitely see a lot of potential
Yeah, I like
with
Michael
him as
Penix.
a passer. So I hope he gets put into a good situation where he can really thrive behind like a good quarterback and then figure out a way to get being a starter. I
Yeah.
think he'd be really good.
I love his like release and everything. I love the way he throws the ball. But another quarterback, I mean, JJ McCarthy did some good things. He is getting glazed all over social media, and I think that's just has to do with the national championship and a lot of like eyes on him. But if you look, like his mid range passing was not good at first. He brought it up. He brought it back like towards the end with his deep ball. But I mean, it looks like someone who was a quarterback in a run first offense for 2 years, and I'm sure if they had handoff drills, he would be right there at the top.
Yeah, he's done more for the game manager QB than anyone else has ever done.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, he's serviceable. I think out of everybody, you know what you're getting with the most with
Yeah.
him. Nothing like incredibly special. I see like realistically, I would say like a third or fourth round pick.
Yeah.
Especially like if you look back in like the 2021 draft, like Malik Willis, I could see like that spot, like a third round, like
Yeah.
middle to late third round is a good spot for him. I'd say like another Penix situation. I think if he gets behind a good starting quarterback and learns from them, I could see some potential. But yeah, I
So
think
you're saying he doesn't deserve his top 13 mock that everyone has him going right now?
yeah, if he's in the top 10, fire the GM for that, because I really don't see what they see in him in terms of like day one starter.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I don't get it.
Like with the top three guys, in like the teams that are there at the top three, like I definitely see day one starter. Maybe you could have an instant like whoever goes the Commanders, they like sit there and they compete with Sam Howell and Jacoby Brissett if they bring it back for a second. But I think those top three could be day one starters. But after that, I think it just falls off and they just got to get in the right situation.
I also think that most quarterbacks shouldn't have to be day one starters.
No.
Like realistically, you should be put in a situation where you can learn behind and just understand what the NFL level is like before
Mm-hmm.
you have to take the reins. And I think quarterbacks that just get thrown into it are more likely to fail.
Yeah. Like the way I look at it is if you want to be an all-time great quarterback, you're going to go out there and you're going to play for 15 seasons. If you have to sit behind someone for 1 or 2 seasons, you're still playing 13 seasons to go out there and prove like who you are. So I don't think quarterbacks should like stray away from like sitting behind someone for a
I
year.
mean, if you take Rodgers, Brady, and Mahomes, they all sat behind, I
Yeah.
would say, pretty decent. I mean, Drew Bledsoe is probably the weakest out of the three, but he
Yeah.
was still decent. I mean, you had
Alex Smith was playing
Alex Smith
great when Mahomes got
was
there.
definitely top 10 quarterback in his day, and
Yeah.
then obviously Brett Favre being one of the best quarterbacks ever. So it definitely benefits you if you're sitting behind someone like that.
I mean, Jordan Love too. I mean, he came out and
True,
balled
yeah,
out
Jordan
this
Love,
year. He waited
yeah.
even longer than some of these other guys did, but just waited and kept competing, and then got his opportunity and just took advantage of it. I know I was gonna talk about Worthy now, but I know I talked about him. Top three wide receivers didn't compete either. Adunze, Napers, and Harrison Jr. Didn't compete either, but I think they're already like kind of submitted. I know Adunze and Malik Napers are kind of bouncing back and forth at who's going at like that 6 area and who's going at that 9 area. But Marv has the top spot locked up, and they're all going to be in their pro days. I think with a quarterback showing the consistency, like going there, throwing, being consistent, and then going to another place, throwing, being consistent is like you can kind of look at it as like an away game being at the combine and a home game being at your own pro day. So I don't know. I think they'll all three be good in the future, and they're all going to be top 10 picks. So
I think it's hard to figure out what wide receiver is going to be good or not,
Mhm.
especially in like college because like whatever system they were in, like with Napers, like him and Daniels were the only thing that was good about LSU's
Yeah,
entire team. So if he gets on a team that everyone's good, like will he get overshadowed? Like there's a lot of big question marks with teams like that, and players where they're undoubtedly the best wide receiver on their team, but will it transfer to the NFL when they aren't? So
yeah. And for those guys that show up to the combine, like I understand why they go because unlike the quarterback position, which is a lot more rare, you get these second, third, fourth, fifth round guys that come out of college at wide receiver, and they can go have an amazing career in the NFL a lot more often than like a fifth round quarterback does.
yeah,
So I understand why they go out there
there's more
and do that.
spots.
There's a lot more spots. We'll get out of the NFL combine. Kind of moved around the script this week, but we're going this week around sports. Actually, have a packed little section here. A lot happened this week. The saddest of them all. Today, Monday, March 4th. Jason Kelce retired after 13 season with the Eagles.
And that is pretty sad. I watched the post or not the post game, but just the press conference with him. He had his whole family, uh, his parents, obviously his brother, and then his wife and kids there. He basically just sat up there for 45 minutes and basically recapped his entire career, like starting from high school to now. And then I've never like he cried so much. It like I was just watching this and I was like, I don't know if I should be happy or sad because I mean, like obviously probably one of the best centers to ever do it.
Yeah.
And it's sad seeing a dude, especially from like Cleveland area, that was overshadowed, didn't have the best body, had to walk on to Cincinnati, like just a true football story of a guy who just went out there and played his ass off and had more passion than anyone.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just sad to see one of those go, but he'll definitely get his jacket in 5 years, and I guess we'll see when Travis decides to hang it up too, because
It won't be too long, I don't think. Maybe like 1, 2, 3 more years until Travis is done.
yeah, it'll be interesting for sure.
Yeah, Jason Kelce like changed the narrative of what a center in the NFL could look like. It didn't have to be a big, tall
Yeah,
dude. It could just be a dude that's going to go out there and work his ass off.
for sure.
Yeah. Still, in the NFC, Mike Evans re-signed with the Bucks a week before free agency, so they got him early. For 2 year, $52 million. I mean, as long as you can keep his 1,000 yard streak alive, go and re-sign him. I'm all for it. If Baker does what he did this year, then I think Mike Evans is perfectly fine with staying in Tampa Bay.
Yeah. And then there's probably a lot of speculation of him going elsewhere. A lot of like Chief stuff. I mean, you're
Yeah.
always gonna have Chief news, but yeah. I mean, he was completely good last year. Had a really good season, especially with Baker. I know there was a lot of question marks with how they're gonna be, and I was like, if you could do it with Jameis Winston, you can do it with Baker Mayfield,
Yeah.
and it happened. So, um, I was a little shocked at it's only a 2 year, so that kind of leaves the door open for a quick turnaround.
Yeah, change in scene.
Yeah,
Um,
I think he is willing to do the next 2 years, and then after that, he might be considering elsewhere. I'm curious to see if they can keep him and Godwin
yeah.
the whole time. Because I think both of them are really good, and I think one of them might want to leave for greener pastures. But as long as they're together, the Bucks are always going to be good, decent at least. Especially if their defense keeps it up. Their defense was kind of shaky last year, so if they can get their defense better this year, they'll definitely be where they were last year.
Hmm. I do agree. We'll move on to some basketball. Um, Sunday, Catlin Clark did break Pistol Pete's record for points in a game. I think it's 3,697. Oh, 67, 67, if I'm not mistaken. But that was a hard game to watch. Like, I know you're going to, like, I know we're Buckeye fans and I know you could see it, but not even just that. You go onto social media, dude. That game was refed so poorly. And I'm not going to sit here and complain. I just did, but I'm not anymore. But Catlin Clark does it again, becomes the all-time leading scorer. What do you guys say about it?
Good for her, first of all. Iowa has something to cheer about, other than corn. So, congrats to you guys. I didn't watch the game fully because we just got back from Miami, and I was tired. So I looked at it a little bit. Um, I did see the clip of her passing Pistol Pete was on a technical foul
That
that
was
shouldn't
so
have been a
bad.
technical foul.
So bad.
And like you said, the flag behind us, you could probably see some biasy, but genuinely, like
It
non-biased,
was
it
bad.
was not. I think even Iowa people could say like that was just
And
not.
like I know Caitlin is the best shooter in the game. She's the best scorer in the game, obviously. She's the best player in women's basketball. But gosh, just because you drove to the lane doesn't mean you were fouled. It's
Yeah.
every time. It's hands up. I'm
That's
like,
just my problem with basketball.
and it's getting really bad. And I know like the higher up it goes, the worse it's getting. And I'm like, gosh, it's
With
so bad.
basketball, it's hard to truly set a line of this is a foul and this is not a foul. Because how many times have you seen one that's like that's not a foul and it is a foul and that's like holy that is a foul and they don't call it. It's just so there's such a big gray area between what's a foul and what's not a foul that the games are so just inconsistent.
Yeah.
And I cannot stand that because you'll have a Lakers game. If you watch a Lakers game, they have so many free throws for no
So
reason.
bad.
And you'll watch another team and they barely get any. It's unreal the inconsistency that basketball is played at.
Yeah, and I think this is something that like obviously the game is like being refed that way, but I think the players got to take it into and like definitely in like high school and collegiate level. There's three dudes out there. There's three refs out there refing this game. You got to let them know from the beginning what is going on down there in those trenches. Because like if you're driving to the basket or if somebody hand checks you every time and it's a foul, timeout's called. You walk over there. You go, hey, watch this. He's gonna watch it. Like I have watched so many people do that where they go over, let them know, hey, driving to the basket, getting hit. All right.
Yeah.
Dude goes, all right, and then you drive to the basket. You're gonna get that call more often instead of sitting there and complaining about it. If you just let them know, it's gonna happen. Now the fans can let them know because if I'm sitting in the stands, I'm gonna let them know. But as a player, you got to be on the good side of the ref, and obviously Caitlin Clark is on the good side of the ref somehow. But she's a dog,
She's on the
so
good side of women's basketball.
she's on the good side of
They wouldn't let her
basketball right
get
now. So
touched with a 10-foot pole because of how much revenue they're getting from her name.
so much. Um, Another one, Cavs. I know you watched this game last night. I know I did. Struggle to be a short-handed Knicks. Brunson goes out in the first minute of the game. Um, Left the Knicks without any starters that they had just a month ago. Cavs lose. Josh Hart played great, and actually that Knicks team they had three dudes I think that played over 45 minutes total out of a 48-minute game, and they played hard, and the Cavs did not. They were just chucking shots up, and I don't understand how the Cavs have the second best defense in the country, and they let a team like that, which they only scored 105, but that team was full of. I think they played like three, not even top seven rotation guys, and they just scored on the Cavs with ease. But they did shoot really efficiently from behind the arc. So
And then I tuned in early, like with probably like 8 minutes left to go, and it was like tied at 12. when I showed up, and they just hit like three threes in a row.
Yeah.
And I watched, I just kept watching. It just felt like the Knicks were more physical, and their shots were going in. And the Cavs, yeah, it just looked like they were unorganized. They didn't have a game plan for whatever. If it was working, they didn't know how to stop it, and they couldn't get anything to work.
No. I mean,
So no
shorthanded
adjustments.
a little bit on the Cavs side too,
I
but
mean, yeah, you don't have Donovan Mitchell,
you
but
don't
they
have
don't
Donovan
have their
Mitchell
full starting
or
lineup.
Karis
So
LeVert, but you have to go win that. They had Hartenstein and Sims were their big men, and you have Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen, which they played great. Just the rebounding aspect on the offensive side wasn't great.
I think
Defensive
didn't
side
Josh
came
Hart
on.
like have 20 rebounds?
Yeah, he had 20 rebounds, which in my eyes is just
That's absurd.
unacceptable.
A shooting
Unacceptable.
guard having 20 rebounds? That's nuts.
Porter Jr., if you're watching this, it's a 5 point game. Don't drive the ball to the basket on back to back possessions, bro. Take that ball out, move the ball around, get that ball in the hoop. Because I think one of yours got blocked and the other one didn't. But I know Cavs are still sitting second in the East. Actually, they might have flipped.
With
No,
the
they didn't. Cavs are still sitting second in the East. They have Boston and the Bucks this week. So you got to come out of that 1-1 at least.
Yeah, so they're 4-5 in their last nine. So obviously the after the All Star break has not been treating them too kindly. They went on that hot streak before with like 18 wins in a row and come out of the All Star break with a stinker. I mean, I know their injury, him not playing, Donovan Mitchell, but I mean, last night was just a complete, just
It was
incapable
bad.
of
At
changing.
home, too.
Yeah, incapable of making in-game adjustments to the situation for sure.
Next, we watched this one live too. Shout out to my boy Chris. LeBron scores his 40,000th point. There was, if you guys didn't watch it, there was no ceremony in the middle of it, so
I know. I was definitely expecting it.
we were expecting it. But yep, LeBron. This is the thing that like confuses me because all of like you'll get the sports notifications on your phone. You'll go to your Instagram feed, scroll through, and it's LeBron's first player ever to score 40,000. Well, no, duh. He's the leading scorer in the league's history. Like, I don't know why you got to put first player to do it. Like LeBron hits 40K is good enough for me on Instagram. But congratulations, LeBron. I'm curious to see like what he ends up with. Like, does he hit that 45K mark?
I don't think so.
Because that's like 3.5 years of playtime now, and like with what he's averaging now to get to that. So I'm curious to see how that goes. To stay in the NBA, the Celtics keep winning, dude. 11 win streak right now. And then beat the Warriors by 52 the other night.
Yeah. It was like 80 something to 30 something at halftime.
It was horrible. I think Curry was
Uh,
0 for 9 from behind the arc to start the game.
I didn't watch it. I saw it. I saw the score at halftime, and I decided to not watch it because who wants to watch that? I'm pretty sure the Celtics played like all their bench players the whole rest of the second half.
Yeah, and they still cooked them.
Yeah, they still cooked them. Celtics are insane, really.
They're good.
They have everything you would need in a championship team, and I don't really see a lot of people that
No.
can keep up with their pace. Drew Holiday, big pickup.
Kristaps.
Porzingis is actually looking like
He was playing,
New York
yeah,
Porzingis.
playing what he used to do in New York.
pre-injury.
He's great.
And yeah, it's just they look like definitely the team to beat.
Yeah. Finding the money, I know they gave him a lot, but they still kept Jaylen Brown and then Tatum, and then you got Derek White, you got Peyton Pritchard, you got Al Horford. Like that team is loaded, and if the Celtics and Tatum are gonna win a championship, it's gonna be now.
Yeah, definitely. They're definitely favorites. And what I like about them so much is that they're not built as like a super team. They have solid pieces all over, and there's depth as well. And I think that's more important than any super team could have given. Like, if Brown isn't having a good game or Tatum isn't having a good game, you got Drew Holiday that could step it up. You got Porzingis that could step it up. Hell, even Al Horford can have a weird game where he puts up 30 sometimes.
Yeah.
So like everyone on that team has that game, like this is my game factor. So definitely gonna be hard to beat them in a 7-game series.
Yeah, I like what you're touching on there. Like they bring in guys like a Drew Holiday, who's a veteran in the league, put up good numbers in Milwaukee, but was the third option on that team. You bring him in, and he's playing lights out. You got Derek White, who has just gotten better over the last 3 years and has shown that he is a great NBA player. And then you got Chris Stapps, who didn't have a great run with the Mavs, went to the Wizards, wasn't horrible, but just played on a horrible team. You bring him in, and Al Horford, who was wrote off basically. I mean, I don't know how long he's been in the league, dude. He was my memory of him in Atlanta was so long ago. But I mean,
He's been solid.
they're cooking. They're cooking in Boston right now.
He's been solid. His like 3-point ability.
Gosh,
He's
it's
definitely
insane.
grew that. He didn't used to be like that, but
Now he's
crazy what
lighted
happened.
out from behind the arc. Last piece of basketball. No, not. But here's another piece. South Carolina women's. Okay, obviously dominant women's basketball program. Them and UConn have been the thing for the last 15 years. Don Staley's amazing coach there. South Carolina goes undefeated this year. All right, second time in 3 years they've done that in the regular season, and they are 103 over the last 3 years.
Yeah, it's nuts.
They have
They're playing high school teams.
they have a national a national championship. Okay. They have a semifinals loss, like a Sweet 16 loss, national championship, like Sweet 16 loss in their last 3 years. And then they lost one regular season game last year at LSU
They lost in the Sweet 16 twice,
in like 2 different years,
and
yeah.
when you went 103,
Or like the Elite Eight in Final Four, like in that area.
okay, is their schedule fraudulent? Like, how do you do
No,
that?
it's the SEC. I mean, you got to play LSU. And they play a good like women's basketball. I will say play good non-conference schedules. UConn plays great teams. Like there was those years where Notre Dame was good, and UConn and Notre Dame and South Carolina all just played each other every year. But finish it up with some football here on this week in sports. Russell Wilson getting cut next week. Already knew this was going to happen, but now it's official. Once the trade deadline opens up
Did
next
they
Monday.
announce that?
Yeah,
They're just like, we're gonna cut him out.
yeah, he's going to get cut when the trade deadline
I'm
opens up.
super curious to see what team picks him up. If it is the Steelers, I'm breaking my fear.
I know I say this about every quarterback, but Falcons.
The Falcons just
Need
anyone.
a quarterback. That's what I'm
Anyone.
saying. They just need anyone.
Take Field if they trade him. Take Wilson. Take I don't even know. Like bring Nick Foles out of retirement. Take him.
Anyone. Last two. Chiefs franchise tag Ladarius Sneed and Bengals franchise tag T Higgins. T Higgins one was kind of expected, with him being a hot commodity in this year's market. Hopefully that means that they're going to structure a contract for him long term, so he doesn't have a holdout. Which I think he likes being a Bengal anyway, so I don't know if that's going to be a problem. And then
He likes being a Bengal, but the money that you're
our owners are bad, dude.
Yeah, you can only hold on to those core three guys for a limited amount of time.
And like Tyler Boyd's a free agent this offseason too, so it'll be curious to see what they do with him.
For sure.
And then Ladarius Sneed was lights out this year, I think, until the Green Bay game might have been the first time he had given up a touchdown all year. But they bring him back, keep the veteran potential in that young secondary that's just getting older, and it's going to be really good for the Chiefs in the future.
Got to keep that defense together.
Got to keep them together. Venture over to men's basketball. I know me and you watched some this weekend down with our friends. Creighton Marquette. This was such a fun game to watch, dude. If you guys didn't know, last week in the game, Griffin took Creighton over Marquette.
Without the knowledge that Marquette was out
with
their best players. So I didn't think that Creighton was going to be like 8 point favorites. They were like 8.5 point favorites. I didn't know that until we were watching it, but they definitely didn't play like they were 8 point favorites.
No.
At least at the beginning.
They played so good. And like Marquette would chip away at the lead, and then Creighton would just go on a little run. And then by the time it got to like 3 minutes left, Creighton just kind of took it and ran.
It was cat and mouse the whole time until the end, and Creighton kind of walked away with it. It was at Marquette, wasn't it? No, it was at Creighton. It was at Creighton.
Yeah. Two more we watched. Houston, Tennessee hold on to wins. Houston won on like a last-second shot against Oklahoma. And then Tennessee holds on against Alabama, being underdogged as the number 4 team in the nation is kind of disrespectful, I think. But Dalton Connect is a dog. Definitely second half of the season, best player in college basketball, but I think Zach Edey just being there has kind of like overshadowed it a little bit. But I actually just learned the other day that he transferred in. I don't. It was a small. It was, if anything, it was a small D1 school, but he's came in and is lighting it up. Um, Conference tournaments, especially like the smaller mid major teams, start this week, Friday, like this weekend, and then Big Ten, SEC, and all them start the following week, Wednesday through Saturday. But mid major teams, I kind of put together to like kind of keep an eye on. These are your 8 through 16 seed teams that I think could make a run in the tournament. Some of them, like a Dayton, were just ranked last week, so they could definitely be in that 5-6 area. But Loyola Chicago, Denzel Valentine's brother is the head coach. Couldn't remember his first name, so sorry about that. He is kind of looked at as like a big coaching commodity this upcoming year. But him and Loyola Chicago took down ranked Dayton this past week. They're looking good. I think they're second in the Horizon. No, they're not in the Horizon. In the conference. And then Dayton as well. Dayton's playing good. Was just ranked. Dayton has kind of been a team that always finds their way into the tournament. More so than their Interstate 70 fellows, the High State Buckeyes. But and then out of the MAC, I got Akron. Akron's kind of like running away with the MAC right now. Toledo was challenging there for a bit, but Toledo kind of dropped out.
Yep.
Teams like Central Michigan, if they can slide in, they're playing really good this year. But really, out of the MAC, the only 3 teams that could really make it would be Akron, Toledo, and Central Michigan. And then this is one, we're going to the old Larry Bird days. Indiana State, their big man is the coolest dude I have ever seen play the game of basketball, dude.
Yeah, it's really
He's
fun.
Nikola Jokic, but in college, dude. It is actually insane to watch.
I just like I like men's basketball just because like just some random dude you would never think is a good player just balls out for no reason, and any given night in basketball you can just you're like, oh, this team is definitely the best team I've ever seen, and then they get beat by 50. So
Yeah, it's insane.
it's super fun.
Yeah, I like how like any given night someone can go out there and just drop a 30 out.
Yeah, like with football, not really that way. Hockey, not really that way. I feel like it's just like basketball that has that kind of twist of being completely just chaotic.
Yeah. And then last thing, obviously this one touches a little close to home. Buckeyes, 18-12. If they can string together, I think they play Rutgers.
Yeah, they play Rutgers.
And who they end the season off with?
A Big Ten team.
Yeah, it's 2 winnable games. It's not a Michigan State, Purdue, Illinois. It's 2 winnable games. They can finish the season 20-12 if they win those, and then going into the Big Ten tournament, if you can pick up 1 or 2 wins, go into the committee with a 22-win team. I think the Buckeyes might be able to slide in, which is something that none of us would have like even considered a month ago.
Yeah, with Holtman. Definitely see a spark.
Yeah, I love it, dude.
They're playing with some courage and determination that you definitely didn't see under Holtman. So if they can get in, I think they could probably win a game, depending where they're placed. But I'm just happy to see a little bit of improvement, even if they don't make the tournament. I'm just glad that there's a culture change.
Yeah, and like I know you're not watching this, committee, but if you're watching this and you're like, I don't know if they really deserve it, put us in the first 4 in, bro. Dayton Arena will be packed to go watch the Buckeyes play in the first 4 in, and then you're gonna make money off that. Come on, dude. Next one, obviously we got to go NASCAR segment. Big NASCAR guys here. I got the Melon Man himself next to me.
You wearing my Melon Man shirt.
But
Badass.
Pennzoil 400 this weekend in Las Vegas. Missed the first stage, watched the last 2. And it's not being like a new to the sport of NASCAR. It's not what we saw like the last couple weeks. It's a lot more spread out, like the field and everything. But watching that 6th and 5th fight, that 3rd and 4th fight, it's just as enjoyable.
So the first 2 tracks of the season are basically super speedways, and what you get with those races is really tight, kind of you're relying on the person in front of you. It's and behind you. It's more of just uh make like just basically just drafting.
It's pedal to the metal, and everyone's
Yeah,
just
no
right next to each
braking.
other.
Everyone's using each other as their brakes. Everyone's using each other as the gas pedals. I wouldn't. It's does not require the amount of skill like what we saw yesterday. When you start getting into these mile and a half intermediate tracks, you start to see who actually is the best driver because you're not just all packed within each other. You actually have to run the racetrack. And this is Kyle Larson's track. Las Vegas and Homestead, Miami are his best tracks, and he definitely showed it yesterday.
Yeah.
Was basically in first place the whole time. Byron had a big first stage. He was first for a while until a random trash bag went into his grill and ended his race pretty much. But I mean, he did make it to top 10. But he was a lap down for a while, so that kind of screwed him over. So basically, from start to finish, it was the Larson train, dominant and won both stages, and definitely just a masterclass from him.
Yeah. So last year the final race wasn't at Phoenix, right? It was at.
No, was it Phoenix?
It was okay. So besides that race, the last two Phoenix races, not including that, Carl Larson had won the last 6 heats. They were talking about.
Las Vegas, not Phoenix.
That's what I meant. Las Vegas. He won Las Vegas in fall last year, winning all 3 heats, and then he did it again this year.
Yeah, Hendrick Motorsports has also won the last 4
Las
Las
Vegas.
Vegas races.
That's actually insane. And something else that is insane. So we obviously talked about Kyle Larson wins all 3 heats. That means he won the race. But where did it go? Oh, Tyler Reddick also got second in both heats and second in the race, which in my opinion is actually pretty impressive as well that we get to see those two guys just dominate. And Reddick kind of gave Larson a little run for his money there with like 4 to go. But Larson just kept giving him bad air and kind of just kept his lead in his distance.
He took his lines away. Just basically everything you do when you're in the lead. Um, what you'll typically see when there's a drag race like that at the end, the second place gets really close, but that's only because the first place is playing it conservative and taking away your lines. So obviously you're gonna get up there, but you're not gonna be able to pass. So it might have looked like he was really gonna get there at the end, but trust me, that's just how first place ends the race. He did have Reddick had a really good car, really fast. He was able to get, like you said, second in both heats, and that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Like Larson's, but Larson just had, I think, the better car the whole day. I think Reddick had the better car at the end, but it wasn't enough. And in third place, you have Blaney, who
It's
the last 2
flying right
weeks has back-to-back top 3 finishes. Obviously was second in Atlanta with that crazy finish, and has another top 3. He did crash in Daytona, but when he finishes a race, it's top 3. So he's having a pretty good start to the season. Along with Ty Gibbs, the next guy. He got, I think, 4th. Or no, he got 5th.
No, yeah, fifth.
He got 5th. In Vegas. He's one of the biggest up and comers. His grandpa, obviously, being Joe Gibbs, who is the race owner, and he was just grown up into it. So he's been running for a really long time, and he's finally starting to show some of that potential that a lot of them had. He won the Xfinity Championship a few years ago, and when he made the change to NASCAR, it took him a little bit to get there, but I think he's starting to turn a corner here.
Yeah. Kyle Busch's pit crew though too. So was this Daytona week or Atlanta where they didn't tighten one of the lug nuts all the way and he had to do an extra lap? I think it was Daytona because I think you were leaving my place and walking by. So he had the pit and he pulls out and one of his lug nuts was not fully attached, so he had to take a lap down and come back. This week, the tire. It was the tire, right?
Well, you talk about Busher? So, like, a lap...
No, Busch.
No, but Busher, his tire fell off completely.
Really?
So, Busher was, like, first few laps. Like, it was pretty early on in the race. He was just driving and his entire wheel came off.
Really? Because was it Kyle Busch's where they like rolled the tire and no one grabbed it and it just rolled into pit lane?
I think that was Gibbs or Reddick.
Oh, it might have been.
There was a lot of pit crew mayhem.
So bad this week. A lot of
Chastain was
disappointment.
too fast, like the third week in a row. Um, Byron got a trash bag randomly stuck in his grill and he had to pit. Um, Bush just did his pit stop like outside of his pit box.
That was funny.
He just forgot to brake, I guess. And like you said, it was either Ty Gibbs or Tyler Reddick that their wheel like rolled off.
Yeah, they literally went
And they
to.
got a penalty.
They only pitted. They only changed two tires, which was the left side of the tires. And the one guy pulls the back left tire off and pushes it towards the right side of the car, expecting someone to be there.
No,
And nobody was there, and it rolled right into pit lane. And it was funny because the announcers were like, "Oh no, 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 no! Watch the tire! Watch the tire! Watch the tire!"
Yeah,
and
they
then it rolled right off. Um,
it was
lots to look forward.
it was
to.
unfortunate for Bush because he was running good all day. He was like top five
Yeah,
pretty
he
much
was
the whole day.
flying.
And bad pit stop. I think he finished like 26th, so he had a really bad day at the end, and he's definitely still struggling with a new race team and a new pit crew. So
Yup, and lots to look forward to for next week for Phoenix.
Phoenix
So,
is a barn burner, just like Vegas is. You'll probably see Blaney and Bush. If Bush gets himself a good pit crew this week, definitely have him as the top 10. And Blaney, who won the championship last year in Phoenix, expect him to do that again.
are you just spoiling your picks for later? Like,
Well, yeah, because he's the best. I don't think it's disputed.
uh,
Chastain might do well though, because he got first last time.
moving on to No Show Joe of the week. Favorite segment, obviously. I'm gonna kick it off this week. My No Show Joe is Sam Hartman, the quarterback out of Notre Dame. This week, Sam Hartman took part in the NFL draft combine. And according to many, and I mean many, sports agencies and networks, he did very poorly. And I did see like some of his inaccurate throws from mid range and deep range, but they're actually giving him the worst grade out of any quarterback that showed up to the draft at a D. This is the same guy that coming into this college football season was the seventh best quarterback coming into the season with two quarterbacks ahead of him, not even eligible to enter the draft. So that means he's the fifth best guy coming into this draft, and now he's going to be late seventh round or not even picked at all.
So obviously he got a D in this combine, but did you see his hair when he was running? It was so majestic.
Yeah.
Dude should get the Head and Shoulders sponsorship with Palomalo and Mahomes.
Oh yeah. He
Definitely
could be in
deserves
the
it.
hair molecules with
Yes,
Palomar.
yeah, those commercials are funny.
They're funny, dude.
Because why are you making Palomalo a little dandruff?
I wanted to touch on this last thing about Sam Hartman is I just kind of want to think of like a hypothetical situation. Sam Hartman probably gets drafted fifth, sixth round, fourth, fifth, sixth round last year if he enters the draft. Out of Wake Forest, had two dominant seasons at Wake Forest. He would enter with a mid-draft projection, and now there's a chance he goes undrafted. I want to know.
I don't think he'll go undrafted. I think
He's just projected like late, like seventh round at like late
Really?
sixth at most seventh.
See,
Because there's so many quarterbacks in this draft.
what I have issue with is that you're saying JJ McCarthy is a top 10
I
pick,
know.
but you're saying that Sam Hartman is potentially being undrafted.
I know.
I don't. I think they're probably around the same skill level, and if one's going in the first round and the other one's not getting drafted, what would that?
I mean, it's just like, crap. Trey Lance was the number 2 overall pick, and then the next year Brock Purdy's the 256th overall pick. As long as you can get on the team and like make a roster spot, the pick goes. Like obviously the
Yeah.
money is a big difference, but when it comes to performance on the football field, as long as you make the 53-man roster, I think you can go out there and you can be the best player on the field if you go out there and you just put your mind to it.
Yeah, I think the draft, like the hype surrounding the draft, people get really delusional, and they like making headlines. I think that's why some narratives are being spun with quarterbacks not throwing, and um, like Harrison not talking to the media when he said he would. Like every single little thing that you could do at the combine or say at the combine will be turned against you because the media just really likes the combine. They like talking about it.
Right now, they want to set a narrative for you.
Yeah.
So you can get drafted, like, and that narrative will be along with you. It's just like last year with CJ and his poor decision test that he had. It kind of set that narrative even like through the first couple weeks of the season. But you got to go out there and you just got to prove the narrative's wrong and just be that guy when you step on the field.
There's some truth to the combine, like what you're doing, and like if you have a bad day, like there's some truth to maybe how your career plays, but definitely not close to being what your career could be. So any narratives you hear, like they're probably not going to be true by the time they get in, but if they are, then the combine actually did something good for them.
Yeah, I think it is not nearly as effective as somebody sitting down and watching game film of somebody in 15 games.
Yeah, because all you're doing is
You're
putting up a
watching
bunch of drills.
you're watching their raw like form of
And you know they're
themselves.
nervous, and there's a lot of other things that play into it. And I saw a clip on Twitter where it was Michael Penix threw one of the most beautiful passes I've ever seen, and the wide receiver just didn't even attempt to catch it. So it's really raw. You'll see. I think you'll see it better at the pro day. Who they really are.
Yep.
So.
You're no show Joe.
My no show Joe. So I had a lot to choose from, but I think the one that makes the most sense is the entire Warriors roster and coaching staff because they lost by 52. Even though it is the Celtics, I mean, fair. They're good. But 52 with nobody injured is crazy.
Bad.
Nobody shot well. I think they shot like 35% from the field. Like, that's abysmal.
Horrible. And then the next night they go and beat a Raptors team. It's not horrible. I mean, Scotty Barnes is injured, but yeah, it's abysmal. They got their get back game.
They were on a pretty good streak. They were coming out of the All-Star break. They were definitely catching their stride. A lot of good wins against good teams, and then
I
they
think
just go over here and
I think they've won like 10 of their last 13 still, but a 52-point loss is
it's crazy.
abysmal.
They just forgot to get on the plane to go to Boston, and
they sent some doppelgangers.
Yeah, and Steve Kerr just tried to justify his game plan after the game by saying, "You just got to pick." What was it?
You just got to pick your matchups because Jaylen Brown had a decently good, like a pretty good game, but they kind of strayed away from like putting their top 3 defenders on him to pick matchups elsewhere.
Yeah, so let's just not guard their second best player. Fair.
Obviously, we're getting towards the end of that podcast, and it's time for the game. Dude, I was looking back at some of the past podcasts, I think like week 2 and 3, and I didn't even realize we named this game. We've just been calling it the game the last couple weeks, but we actually named it Booth Battles. And still, I'm looking at this. This is a fire name. Booth Battles?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Sick. And speaking of fire, you were on a heater this past week, dude.
Yeah, I know I didn't have any underdogs, but you just have to go back to the fundamentals. You just got to get true with yourself and pick the guys who you think are going to go out there and spank some ass, and they did. So 7 for 1.
7 for 1. 7 and 1.
7 and 1. Should have been 8-0, but Christopher Bell had a flat tire and then got spun out.
Yep.
So that on his own accord, so he sucks. Never putting him in mind. I'm definitely gonna play him again.
Yeah.
Every time I say that, I'm definitely gonna do it again.
I thought about it this week, to be honest, but I strayed away from it. So Griffin pulls out 700 points last week. 6-0 on the main picks. We added NASCAR last week. Goes 1-1 in NASCAR. Pulls ahead a little bit. I went 6-2 though, right behind him. 600 points.
He actually hit both of his NASCAR ones, which I was pretty.
I did hit both of my NASCAR ones, which last week in the pod you were jealous about my picks for NASCAR.
Yeah, because I knew they were going to both do well, and they did.
It was good.
And it did not shock me at all.
I took Ohio State over Nebraska this week. Okay, Nebraska, who had four more wins than the Buckeyes on the year, and Ohio State was favored, dude. I really wanted that underdog pick, but it's whatever. 13 wins this week between both of us. No underdogs. We're on to this week. You're up 2,500, 2,300. But I'm telling you, I think I'm getting that flame you had last week, dude. This lineup I got
Yeah, I
is
don't know. I
looking
haven't
good.
looked at it yet, so we'll see.
All right, so NBA, Houston over Portland. Portland loses. No, Portland beats Memphis in overtime this past week. Houston though beats Phoenix. They're playing good. Jalen Green, Alfred Sengun can do some damage. Portland's just not great. Anthony Simons carried him the other night. Scoot Henderson is not really what we thought he was going to be. So far, though, he has so much more to come. And then I'm taking Magic over the battle scarred Knicks.
Yeah.
Knicks right now without the starting five should probably, I would imagine, have Audenobi and Randall back soon. Randall's been gone with a small injury since the All Star break, so he'll be back soon. But Paolo Banchero and the Magic get it done.
So I'm gonna say that both of those are not underdogs. I think Houston,
No.
they're fine, but I think the Trailblazers are worse. And then with the Magic, I think how many wins do they have?
Magic might be a 30-32 win team.
Yeah, so they're
I think
probably
they're top six in the East.
they're probably around like close to
The Knicks. They're
the middle of the pack.
yeah, they got a couple more losses than the Knicks.
Yeah, and with the Knicks with that out, I think you have two solid picks, but I'm taking two crazy games.
Oh boy.
Nuts.
Oh boy.
I was just like, why not? Like, I'm already up. Might as well reach for the fences.
Like if I get you on these two games and we tie, it's like we're still tied, so it's not like you're losing a bunch from it.
Yeah, I might kick myself in the foot afterwards,
Yeah.
but it's whatever. So I have Denver over Boston. There is a little bit of sense to that. It's in Denver. Denver's probably one of the hardest places to play in the NBA.
Yeah.
Just purely because of the pressure difference and how higher up you are. And they just beat the Warriors by 52, so they have to come down at some point. So I'm just saying this is the game they do it. It looked pretty appetizing. I think if any team's gonna do it, it would be Denver if Jokic can have a crazy night. And then I have the Lakers over the Bucks. This one, yeah, I was just like Lakers. Why not?
I mean, Lakers have been
Listen,
really
if
good.
Anthony Davis can go toe to toe with Giannis and no one else catches fire for them, it's definitely doable.
I would agree with that. Yes.
And if LeBron and just I don't know, we'll see. I think it might. I think it'll be close. Whatever it goes. So I think two dominant big men will keep the game close. So we'll see how that ends up.
Yep. Moving on to the National Hockey League. Taking a little bit. I'm taking one of the doubleheader. So Bruins, Maple Leafs play this week. I think Tuesday and Thursday. I'm taking Bruins over Maple Leafs on Thursday. This one is in Boston. Both of them right now are having great seasons.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. That'd be definitely a good one to watch.
That one should be a high flying. That'll be a really good game. Feeling Boston though. Boston burnt me last week, and I think got burnt Griffin. I think the week before. So I'm jumping on that Bruins train. And then taking Flyers over Lightning. Really no logic behind taking Philadelphia, if I'm going to be honest. But last time I used logic was last week, and the Knights lost. So yeah,
I had a feeling they would. Oh, because the Bruins they're tough, and
that was to the Bruins. Wow, that sucks.
yeah, most of the Bruins, they're really good this year. So for me, I have the Avalanche over the Red Wings. So both of them are really good this year. They're both like 35, 37 win teams right now. It is in Colorado. I guess I'm just rocking with the Colorado teams this week.
Feel it.
And then I have the Panthers over the Flames. The Flames are decent, but the Panthers are the best team in hockey right now. So that should be a lock. And that should get me 2-0.
Do you like those picks? College basketball. We usually like throw in a ranked matchup there, but like looking at the ranked matchups this week, Houston,
They are
Kansas.
barn burners.
Houston, Kansas. That's one that I know Griffin picked the purple that I would pick. Tennessee, Kentucky, that's one I think could go either way. So I wasn't feeling confident with two ranked matchups this week. So I'm actually going with two matchups of teams of similar like records, and they're both conference games. So I'm going Boise State over San Diego State. San Diego State is the 21st ranked team in the nation, but Boise State is 20-8, and I'm feeling like the Broncos, wrong horse. Feeling like the
You
Broncos
thinking SMU?
are gonna take down San Diego State, and then Colorado over Oregon. Colorado has a top 10 projected draft pick on their team. Them and Oregon are both about 19-10. Um, and Oregon just got manhandled by Arizona this
Yeah, that's
past
pretty
weekend.
bad.
Manhandled. So I'm feeling the Buffalo over the Ducks.
He's going with Colorado too. Big week for
Oh
Colorado.
crap! I didn't even think about that.
Big week for
I think that one
Colorado.
is in Colorado too.
Yeah. So this one is another one where I'm picking the probably the biggest games this week. I'm having UConn over Marquette. Marquette lost to Creighton, and I actually put that as one of the picks I had last week. And I don't know if they'll have their guy that apparently is the best on their team back, but uh, it's like ESPN saying that like it's a 50-50 game, but UConn is 100% better.
Yeah.
So I definitely took UConn there, and then I have Houston over Kansas. However that turns out, that's gonna be a really good game. Kansas actually beat them earlier in the season.
I think Kansas is not playing their best basketball right now either.
No, they lost to Baylor this past week, and if Houston can play anything like they have been, they should be able to get it done.
And speaking on the Marquette, Tyler Kalecki, I think he's suspended till the end of the regular season, and then they'll reevaluate his grades before March Madness time. So you should be good on that.
Whoever managed his situation at Marquette is definitely getting fired.
Dude.
The fact that you let your best
The
player,
fact that I think he's like 6th in the rankings for Player of the Year, and your best player fails midterms.
yeah, they're. I don't. Is Marquette like a decently sized school?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how you let your best player not have good grades, even if you have to like, cheat for it. But
It's insane. I mean, Angela Reese can somehow play basketball, and
yeah,
She
that
can't
whole
read,
situation
so.
was weird. Yeah, for sure.
Last sport of the night, NASCAR. Okay, so we're going to Phoenix. All right.
Phoenix is a weird track.
He's got a powerhouse pick in his little group. I feel like I got a pretty good powerhouse pick in my little group.
I mean, because we're only picking two people,
It makes it.
You're always gonna have a good.
Yeah.
Maybe not the best, but you're gonna have a chance.
I'm going with the Menaces this week. Taking Joey Logano top 10. I think you said Joey has like 5. How many wins at Phoenix?
3 wins, and then I think he has like 8 top 5.
Yeah. Carr's been fast this year. I think he was just outside top 10 yesterday.
He was 9th.
9th. Another top 10 finish. Should have 3 if, Rex weren't a thing. And then I'm also going to Denny Hamlin. Had a great run yesterday. Definitely has the skill to match any person. And
yeah, no matter
in the
how
field,
no matter how
so-
good he is or how much of a shithead he is, he's pretty good.
Yeah,
so
he's pretty good.
You can't count him out anywhere.
So I'm taking the hated lineup this week, but I'm feeling good about it. Not gonna lie. Going
if
for
you're gonna take the villain arc, this is probably the week to do it. I'm gonna take the once villain now hero arc. I'm taking Ryan Blaney. He won the championship at this track in November. He is really good here. He always has been. This has been one of his best tracks. I think he's going to be the favorite coming into it. And then another guy who's been pretty good at Phoenix in his career is Kyle Busch. I know he's had some pretty weird finishes. He got third in Atlanta. I don't remember where he finished in Daytona, but he's just been bouncing up and down, having good, bad. So I think he's going to find some consistency in Phoenix if his pit crew can be a little bit better. Put him in a better spot to be top 10. So.
All right, well, that's Booth. It's the Booth battles right there, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I know I said this like a while ago, but social medias will be set up this week. Promise. I have so much free time, so I'll be doing that this week.
I'm gonna be picking my boogers all day, not knowing what to do. There's no sport.
There's nothing to watch it
No.
when you're not doing homework at noon. I mean, what else are you supposed to do? I sit here and watch McAfee show, like obviously. Um, ooh, okay. One more thing for you in the pod. Question for you. Was watching First Take this morning, and it was Dan Orlovsky, Stephen A. Smith, and Shannon Sharp arguing about the Dallas Cowboys being a winning culture,
It's a winning culture, but not
not a
playoff
championship
winning.
culture.
No.
It's a winning culture, not a championship culture.
I mean, if you go to the Cowboys, you're probably looking at 11, 12, 13 wins, but you're not gonna get
So would you call it a winning culture?
overall winning.
Yeah, like right now they're like if they, in my opinion, because Dan Orlovsky was calling them a winning culture, and Shan Sharp and uh, Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith were arguing that they're not a winning culture. But in my eyes, is if that them and their fan base, if they go out there and win 8 games, oh, the place is getting burned down.
Yeah.
But if the Cardinals go out there and win 5 games, that's what.
I think it just depends on what we consider a winning culture. Because
Yeah.
if you consider only winning championships a winning culture, no. But if you consider
At the end of the day, there's
consistently
32.
being a
there's-
playoff team is a winning
Yeah.
culture, that's a winning culture.
Like, are you going to sit here and tell me the 49ers, I mean, they haven't won a Super Bowl in 12 years, but are you going to sit here and tell me they're not a winning culture?
Yeah, they're definitely winning culture.
Exactly. So, Shannon
The
Sharp.
Ravens are winning culture, but they haven't won anything.
Exactly.
I just think with Dallas, with them, it's just they have the worst playoff collapses possible.
It's so bad.
So, definitely winning culture, but if you want to make it far, do not get invested.
No. All right. Well, I know I said it once, but I'll say it again. Thank you guys for watching. New episodes every Tuesday. Peace.